All right, awesome. Okay. I call this meeting to order at 7:02. Are there any additions or subtractions to the agenda? Josh?
Hi, could we please strike capital allocations from the, yeah, can we just strike that, please? Thanks.
No problem. Alicia?
Can we please strike ARC allocations?
Daniela?
Can we please strike ASRF and AAC travel mini grant allocations? Thank you.
Juan?
Can we please strike SFS allocation?
Okay, anyone else? Going once, going twice. Okay, if not, can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve today's agenda.
Second.
Daniela motions, Keon seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Hey, can someone promote Phoebe, please? Oh, and Eliana and Anna. All right, and by a vote of, wait, someone is putting it. Okay, we got new council members.
Can we strike TGIF allocations?
Yeah, okay, let's pause. Hey, pause. Everyone put their hand down. I'm sorry, put their hand down. Sorry, Phoebe. All right, so Phoebe, have you, okay, so you struck that. And then I know Anna and Eliana just joined. Do you guys have anything you want to add or take away? Anna?
Yeah, can I also strike the SWC programming fund? Thank you.
Eliana?
Hi. In case this wasn't done already, please take the resolution about the CAE off the agenda or move it to next week, probably, I think. What do you think, Phoebe? And add David Boak-Harsley's presentation in and also promote him to be a panelist. Thanks, appreciate it.
Okay, Anna, Eliana, you said add who for this presentation? Are you talking about the how to do state government advocacy?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. All right, bet.
Okay, appreciate it.
No problem. Oh, also I needed to add, can I add under new business a resolution on gun violence? Okay, now we can, all right, now let's remotion.
I move to approve the agenda for October 25th.
And I'll second it.
Okay, Eliana motions, Keon seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, and by a vote of 13-0, the motion passes and this week's agenda is approved. Okay, going forward, next is the approval of the minutes. I hope everyone was able to review last week's minutes. Are there any changes, any questions, comments, concerns, or any updates regarding last week's minutes? Going once, going twice. All right, if not, can we get a motion?
I move to approve the minutes from last week's meeting.
I second.
Sarah motions, Daniela seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, I guess all against, please raise your hand. All abstaining, please raise your hand. All right, we had 2 people that didn't vote. So we'll call it by vote of 12-0. Okay, Teddy raised his hand physically. Okay. By a vote of 13-0, the motion passes and last week's minutes are approved. Okay, moving forward, now we'll go into public comment. Public comment is a time for individuals within the Undergraduate Student Association to come to council and just discuss anything that they may have on their mind, if they have any questions, concerns, or comments. So If you want to, be promoted for public comment, please raise your hand right now so you can be promoted. We already know to promote Clara at this point. All right, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Hi, guys. It's me, Clara, just here to give weekly CalPERC update. Yeah, fun updates. Last week we did our pledge fundraising drive, and as a quick reminder, we were running our fundraising drive on banning styrofoam citywide. And the reason we're able to advocate successfully for these policy changes is because we're funded by 30,000 UC students across the state who opt into the $10 CalPERC activities fee. And this gives us the power to basically win all of our campaigns. And we also have a contract with the university that we have to sign up 10% of our undergraduate population be pledging members in order for us to keep our chapter on campus. So every quarter we run really big pledge drives. And last week we were able to sign up our goal of 1,100 new dues paying members in just 1 week. We were actually planning on running the drive for 2 weeks. That's normally how long it lasts. But we finished in 1 week, which just shows how passionate the student body is about this issue. So woohoo! And because we finished early, we're able to do more campaign work this week, especially for our New Voters Project. The elections are right around the corner. We're doing a lot of preparation by doing class announcements, doing phone banking and text banking to make plans with students for how they're going to vote, and doing visibility events on campus to make sure that students are aware of how to vote, all the resources that are available, and that they're all prepared. But yeah, that's a little bit what we're doing right now. Thanks for listening. Have a good rest of your meeting.
Thank you for coming. All right, do we have anyone else that wants to give public comment? All right, going once, going twice. Okay, and I'll be closing public comment at 7:09. Okay, going straight back into it. Contingency programming, Josh.
Hey, everybody. Hope you've been having a great week so far. Our committee's been incredibly hard at work. Normally, most weeks we receive requests for roughly $10,000 to $12,000, but our committee's been doing a great job on putting the word out there that you can get funding for your student events. So this week we had over $30,000 of requests. So it was a great job done by the committee. We had a total contingency request of $33,141.27. And we recommend an allocation of $21,007 and $7.35 for 35 non-USAC entity related events and 1 USAC entity related events. And I'll put that in the chat right now and happy to answer any questions on this week's recommended allocations.
Thank you so much. Okay, if anyone has any questions, concerns, or comments, please speak now. If not, can we get a motion?
I move to approve this week's contingency funding.
I second.
All right, Ariana motions, Theodore seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, I got 13.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so 14. All right, by a vote of 14 to 0, the motion passes and contingency programming for this week is approved. Okay, moving forward, Bruin advocacy grant allocations, EVP.
Yeah, so for the first round, can you guys hear me? I'm using my headset. I don't know if is it clear? Okay, perfect. The first round of BAG, we allocated this term $5,826 to 7 non-USAC entities. I put that in the chat. Yeah, I can also go into detail if necessary of the orgs, but I don't know if we typically do that for us because it's not a voting matter, is it?
It's a consent item. Yeah, Phoebe, is that a new hand, Phoebe? Phoebe? Oh, okay. You're good. All right. Yeah, that's a consent item. So if no one has any questions, concerns, or comments, it passes. All right, moving forward. All right, now we'll be going straight into appointments. I see Milan switched around. Yeah, Yeah, so we'll go straight into appointments. So just want to remind everyone how appointments go. So for appointments, the appointee is obviously promoted to council, and then they give their opening statement. We then open the floor for questioning from council members. And we usually do about 2 or 3 questions, and then the individual gives their closing statement. And then we hear ARC's recommendation, and then we do a discussion amongst council in regards to the potential appointee. And we vote on them and we go from there. So I see we have a Hannah up. I see Hannah has been promoted. You are free to give your opening statement.
Perfect. All right. Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for having me here at your meeting. Super excited to get to answer some of your questions. I am a third year here at UCLA. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm majoring in political science and education. And I'm applying to be an associate justice on the judicial board. And I know that I would be and hope that I would be a great fit for this position for 2 main reasons. The first is on the austere side of the spectrum, I have the experience to be able to go do a good job. I've been a law clerk with the judicial board for 2 years now, so I know how cases work, how the process goes, and kind of what it takes to have the good skills in order to do a good job. And on another level, I'm very passionate about law. I already took the LSAT. I want to go to law school, so I'm really excited about using my passion to hopefully be able to help the student body. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hannah, and welcome. All right, now we'll open the floor for questions from council members. Please raise your hand if you have a question, council members. Naomi?
Yeah, given your experience that you kind of touched on in your interview with ARC as well, what would you change, or if you would change anything about anything in the process or at the position if you're appointed today?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. I think one of the biggest issues that I've noticed is just how difficult it might be for people to fill out the petitions in order to bring a case to the judicial board. And I want to make sure that process is very, very clear, whether that be better instructions online or having an opportunity where people and students can work with law clerks on the judicial board to fill out those petitions. Because I know in the past we've had to deny petitions simply because they weren't filled out correctly. And I think that should never be happening just because someone doesn't know how to do it. They should have the help in order to bring their problem to us so that way we can help them no matter what.
Sarah?
Hi, Hannah. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us and taking time out of your Tuesday night. My question is, as if selected for the position, what qualities and traits do you hope to embody as a judicial board member? And a follow-up question to that, how do you plan on remaining objective and unbiased if there are more contentious cases?
Definitely. And this just honestly, I feel like goes down to who I am as a person. Objectivity and being open to listening to all sides is something that's always been very, very important to me. And just to give an example, as a law clerk, a year and a half ago, when I first started at UCLA, I was actually a writer for the Daily Bruin. But when I got this opportunity, I made the tough choice to step down as a writer because I knew that was something that would and could affect my integrity. So it's really important to me that I make those decisions and stick to them. So even if that means taking myself away from an opportunity, I feel like I have the kind of track record and confidence in myself to be able to do that. But just in terms of my personal quality traits you were asking about, I think it's really important to always be very, very open-minded. I'm from Santa Monica, so coming from a very liberal city, I'm used to hearing all of those sides. And I'm also used to hearing a lot of people that I know from other places being a little bit more conservative. So I'm very used to kind of juggling both sides of the spectrum. And I feel confident that I could do that for UCLA students as well. Thank you for your question.
Keon?
Thank you so much, Hannah, for coming to speak with us. I just had a question. I wanted to hear more about what other roles you do on campus, either leadership or community service. So if you could expound.
Definitely. Yeah, of course. I would say a couple of my main involvements on campus are first the Student Alumni Association. I'm actually, after this, I'm going to go work an event for that afterwards. We put on some of UCLA's traditions and also just networking and professional events for students. So that's one of my big involvements. And then another one is UCLA campus tours. So know a lot about UCLA if anyone has any questions about that too. But those are my 2 big involvements here on campus, besides hopefully the judicial board.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay. Hannah, you're free to give your closing statement.
Awesome. And thank you all again, everyone, for your questions. I really appreciate it. I think the one message that I really want to leave you all is that I'm very, very passionate about this job. Like I mentioned, I've had to make tough decisions in the past about my involvements in order to stay a part of the judicial board. I've seen the kind of cases that come through in the past, from Bruin Republicans my freshman year to learning about other cases beforehand. So I'm just very excited to use my knowledge and experience to hopefully help all of UCLA students. And I really hope to make the board a more accessible option. So again, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to hopefully working more with some of you.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, moving forward. Art, can we hear your recommendation, please?
On the tab, but we approved Hannah with 3-0 vote.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. And for those you may not have heard that, Milan said that ARC approved Hannah with a 3-0 vote. Okay. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, or comments they want to discuss amongst themselves in regards to this potential appointee? Yeah, Keon.
Just want to say thank you so much for speaking to us. I really liked hearing about your qualities, about your past, and hearing about the vision you have for the judicial board. And I just want to recommend the rest of my fellow council members to approve her for Associate Judicial Justice.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else that has anything else they want to say? Okay. If not, can we get a motion?
I move to approve Hannah to be a member of the judicial board.
And I'll second that.
Okay, Sarah motions, Keon seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right, all abstaining, please raise your hand. How's it good? Is that a new hand?
No, I'm sorry. It's just not, like, it's glitching my internet. I'm just putting it down. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. All against, please raise your hand. Okay, so that's 12 to 0. Yeah, I think that's 13. Okay, by a vote of 13-0 to 1, the motion passes, and Hannah is now a member of the judicial board as an associate justice. Congratulations.
Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Looking forward to seeing the great work you're going to do this year. Hannah, I'll send you like offline, I'll send you the forms and stuff to get you officially hired. Okay. And I think you already know Mayank, but yeah, we'll get you guys in contact. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Going forward, we now have a special presentation by I think we have a David who's going to be giving a special presentation. Just want to keep a reminder, special presentations are, supposed to stay within the 5 to 10 minute time range. But looking forward to hearing what you have for us today. Welcome, David. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Carl. Great to be back here, and thank you, Eliana, for inviting me. Good to see all of you. I'm here to talk a little bit about getting involved in state government, and so I'll start by sharing a little bit of my background. I was USAC president 2012, 2013, was Gen Rep the year before that. I've since been a Coro Fellow, got my master's in public policy, certificate in social justice. Let's see, what can I say? I worked for Congressman Jerry Nadler in New York, but decided that Congress wasn't my speed, so I came back to LA and have spent the last 6 years working in and around state government in California. I worked for State Senators Ben Allen, who represents UCLA, and Scott Wiener, who represents San Francisco, and most recently ran the Legislative Jewish Caucus, which is a group of 19 Jewish elected officials in the state legislature. And now I run the Jewish Public Affairs Committee, or JPAC, which is California's Jewish lobby in Sacramento. So after many years of working in government, I'm now on the advocacy side and lobby the legislature to pass bills and budget requests that support my community's priorities. I'm not sure how engaged you all are in state level work, but Eliana asked me to speak about state advocacy, and I'm glad to be able to share some of the things I know now, many of which I know at least I wasn't fully aware of when I was in your shoes. And in fact, the reason I'm particularly excited to do this is because I look back at my days in USAC and realize how much more I could have done if only I had access to some of this information. You know, we did some great work around voter registration, and I'm particularly proud that we brought then Governor Jerry Brown to campus for a rally on Prop 30, which taxed the rich to fund education and froze UC tuition for 5 years. But while those things felt great at the time, I realize now that how much greater of an impact I could have had, and how much greater of an impact you can have if you fully leverage your unique positions of influence in this short time that you have them. So first, some overarching context about the state legislature, and forgive me if you know this, but I'd like to level set for everybody. So we have a bicameral system, just like Congress, and we call our houses the Assembly and the Senate. There are 80 Assembly members, 40 senators. They each represent districts with relatively even population sizes that are drawn by an independent redistricting commission, and assemblies. So since there are 80 assembly members, 40 million people in the state, they each represent 500,000 people. Senators each represent 1 million people. And just for context, that is more, 1 million people is more than any member of Congress in America represents, and more than even 6 or 7 governors represent. They are massive districts. And also because there are fewer members in each house at the state level compared to the federal level, they have more relative influence than a member of Congress, and their vote is worth more. And these elected officials have a lot of power and impact on our lives. They dole out $300 billion a year. They oversee a GDP that is bigger than all but 4 countries in the world. And in fact, I just saw a report yesterday that projects that California will surpass Germany's GDP imminently, which would put our state behind only the US, China, and Japan in GDP per year. And these representatives pass laws on behalf of 40 million people that impact so many things that touch our lives every single day. You know, housing and our built environment, roads and infrastructure, environmentalism and environmental justice, wildfire prevention and response, policing, criminal justice, wages, workers' rights, homelessness, housing, healthcare, you name it. Things we all touch are impacted by the state government. And perhaps most poignant for this conversation is schools and higher education. And yet, despite all of this, the media has such a focus on our gridlocked federal government that the state gets very little coverage. So that means that very few people even know that the state legislature exists, let alone what it does. And with less scrutiny from the general public, special interests have greater influence. Now, I know the term special interest is typically thought of as having a negative connotation, and that's largely the case on the state level too. But I'm using this term here broadly because I actually want to encourage all of you, if you're not doing this already, to become a special interest in the state government. Sure, you can influence elected officials with money, which usually looks like campaign donations, and that's how big corporate special interests typically build power, but you can also influence them with people power. And that's just really exercised through basic community organizing. So some quick information about the state. Each legislator introduces about 20 bills a year. So legislators are voting on about 2,000 bills each year. Maybe a few of them make some big news or become priorities for advocacy groups, but the vast majority make it through many committees, the Senate and the Assembly floor, and are signed by the governor with few public comments at all. And when I worked in the legislature, I can tell you, when 20 or 30 people called into the office about a particular bill, it was a rare occasion. And we reported that straight up to the boss, and the legislator often felt like the people were really pushing him on this particular issue, even though that was 20 or 30 people and he represented 1 million people in his district. It was just a tiny fraction, but it was rare to get that many calls about any particular issue. So you can really make a difference by choosing to lobby legislators on any number of bills. And yes, I'm talking about bills that directly affect access and retention to higher education, but I'm also talking about bills that address core values that you share as students and residents of the state, like supporting low-income students with critical social services, expanding access to services for undocumented students, let's see, building more affordable and market rate housing to lower the cost of living for you now and after you graduate. Anything else you care about, these are issues that you really have a platform to be able to advocate on. And I know Eliana has been doing some really amazing and effective advocacy on disability issues. So how can you actually leverage your power? Well, simply organizing groups of students to call the right legislators at the right time in the process can make a huge difference. There is a consistent and rigid legislative cycle every single year. Bills need to be introduced by one date and pass certain committees by this time, and then the House of Origin by this time, et cetera, et cetera. And this process makes it so that legislators, well, I guess certain legislators have particular power at certain times based on their committee chairmanships and positions. And if you figure out the system, it's easy to know who that is and when. You can also always ask an organization that is leading on an advocacy effort, or just call a bill's author and ask how you can organize students to help. And I'm always happy to offer myself as a resource to all of you to strategize about this. Once you know the right targets at the right time, you can write out a very simple script with a number to call and send it to a listserv of or a group of friends, and it really makes a huge difference. You also have a unique opportunity here because you have students who come from all over the state. So you can coordinate efforts to have people call their childhood home representatives, for example, and voila, you've influenced many legislators all at once. Many times, taking lobby visits with key legislators or their staff makes a huge difference as well. It's more of a commitment than organizing phone banks and requires some more prep. But it can also lead to much more fruitful results because of the relationships you build. And as leaders of a coveted public institution, I really mean it when I say you have more access to influence elected officials than most people in the state do. And I just want to urge you to use your title to set up meetings. You can even work with elected officials to write your own legislation to address a problem that you see in the state or on campus. And I can tell you it's pretty empowering once you're brought into that process and become a trusted partner with an elected. You may have the opportunity to advise on legislative strategy or even testify in a committee hearing. And if you choose to plug in, the distance from really where you are now to being very much in the room of power is not very far. I guess the last thing I'll mention is the budget process. I'll bet your EVP or UCSA reps know something about this. And I know the administration, both at UCLA and at UC do, because that's how the university gets a major chunk of its funding. But the $300 billion in annual funds can be allocated to a wide variety of things, including general support funding for universities. There is always more funding needed to keep tuition down, and I'm sure the administration would love for you to partner with them on those efforts. But I know every council has a different relationship with the administration. I'm not sure what yours is. But whether or not you get involved in that work, there are also more specific issues that you may find that can be funded by the state. Say you want to pilot a universal basic income program on campus, or fund a food kitchen, or hire more mental health professionals. Those are all within the realm of possibilities to ask for funding for. And especially if you can find an elected official to champion a specific need, there is a decent chance that it can be funded. Since they're all negotiating over billions and billions of dollars, a request in, say, the hundreds of thousands of dollars range is pennies for them, and could be an easy win that you could theoretically take credit for. Of course, it is no guarantee that just because you ask for funds means you'll get money, and you'll have to do sustained advocacy work over several months to keep that possibility alive. But the state budget is the biggest grant pool you will probably ever apply to, so any ideas is within reach. I'm sure I'm probably at my time limit, and I spoke really quickly to try to keep it within. So I'll wrap up my presentation here. But I'm happy to leave my information for anyone who wants to follow up with questions or ideas you want to run by me. And also happy to take a question or two now if people want to ask and you have time. I'll close just by saying I just know that I didn't take nearly enough advantage of my power when I was in your shoes, because I frankly didn't realize how much I had. And both your title and your access to lots of students will give you undue influence. And you can make you can really become a key special interest in Sacramento if you choose to leverage it. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate you for coming. We're going to open the floor up for council members to ask questions. So does any council members have any questions they would like to ask? I know I'll put you on the spot, but we can ask anything. Going once, going, okay, Sarah.
Hiya. First of all, thank you so much for coming to talk to us. My question was, that's something I would be really interested in specifically, like the funding aspect. How would you go up, like, is it as easy as just like reaching out to like a local state assembly member, or how does that process work?
Yeah, so to be able to put in a funding request, it helps a lot to have a champion in a legislative office. And now is actually prime time to start having those conversations. The legislative session usually starts in January and ends around September. So the 3 months that we're in right now is called fall recess, and that's when they start to think about all of the different bills and budget items they're going to take on next year. So they're basically going around to constituent groups right now and saying, what ideas do you have for me? What laws do you want to make on behalf of 40 million people? And to a lesser extent, they're asking for what kind of budget items do you want me to support, because they get so many of them. And so they have to, and they have fewer they can submit. But like I said, you are in a unique position of power. So, and being able to say, I funded a university is, I think, a really big win for a legislator. So what I would recommend doing is, I think right now your legislators are Senator Ben Allen and Assemblymember Isaac Bryan. I know with redistricting, Isaac is moving out of the district, and whoever wins 80-51 will move in. It's probably Rick Zabur. But having a conversation with one of those three people and putting on the radar an idea that you might have, making the pitch that this funding would have a significant impact on you, on the school, on the district, and then also showing them that you're willing to organize people over the course of the year to testify, to call in, to whatever, will be a big motivator for them to take on a budget request. And if they do, again, there's nothing guaranteed. There is a finite amount of money, and so it all depends on what else is out there. But people are making asks in the billions of dollars, and I'd suspect you'd be making asks in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if that. My organization alone secured $141 million in the state budget just this year for 7 different items. And so if you find the right legislator to champion it now, get them now while they're still looking, and then work with them on that strategy. That's how you would do it. I'm happy to think through with you how to set up that meeting and make that pitch.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Eliana.
First of all, thank you so much. That was amazing. Really appreciate it. So yeah, probably be worth dropping your contacts in the chat. And also my question is, what's the best way to do like your first step to just like contact the state legislator and hear back from them?
So what's the best way to do the first step? Yeah. Well, so it really depends on what your strategy is. If you're trying to contact the one who's representing you right now, you've got really 2 people, right? One in the Assembly and one in the Senate. I guess, as I just mentioned, you might have a third coming up with redistricting. But if you wanted to set up a meeting with the legislator themselves, you'd find their scheduler. And there is this actually, I used to have all the schedulers and that I could share with people. Now there is a crowdsourced list that is publicly available of elected official staffers that I'm also happy to share the link to. You find the legislator's scheduler, you ask to set up a meeting on behalf of your organization, your position, whatever it is. And they will run it through a scheduling process. They'll see if the legislator is interested in taking a meeting and available. If so, you might get a meeting with the legislator themselves and a staffer. If not, they might pass it off to the appropriate staffer. And I want to say really quickly that meeting with staffer should not be undervalued. I might be speaking from a little bit of a bias because I was a staffer for many years myself, but I can also tell you that legislators are spread so thin that they really rely on the advice of their staffers. A particular staffer is set to focus on a certain number of issues and take a number of meetings and advise the legislator on how to vote, sometimes minutes before their bill. So really building a relationship with a key staffer can be important. Oftentimes they might have a budget staffer as well that you can ask to meet with. And at that point you make the pitch, you ask them their process too, what the considerations they have and what you what they need from you to help further that process and give you the best chance. But having an ongoing relationship with a staffer in that office is amazing, and the best way to start is by emailing the scheduler. You asked for information in the chat, so I shall do that. My emails is there, and our website is. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Yeah, thanks.
Divine.
I just wanted to make a quick comment. Thank you again, David, also like everyone's been saying, for presenting. Just also wanted to echo everything he said, but also as EVP, obviously, one of our office's role is to advocate and speak to legislators. So if any of you guys do have questions or you want to bring something up to legislator, feel free to come talk to anyone from my office or me as well. I think coming together as a council is a lot stronger to legislators and seems more coherent than coming a little disorganized and coming to a different ask. But yeah, I just wanted to echo that really quickly, and thank you.
Completely agree. Yeah.
Okay, if no one has any
There
other
was one question in
questions.
the chat.
Oh, sorry, your question in the chat, is that what you're pointing to? You mentioned that you were.
Yeah, there was a question. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was USAC as well, the former USAC president. Which resources do you wish you had taken advantage of more? Oh, interesting question. I'm about 10 years out now, so I'm trying to think back. Well, I don't know if this is a question that was particular to what I said earlier, because I made a comment similar to wishing I could take more advantage of the position. And what I was referring to was utilizing my power beyond campus, recognizing that being a student body representative representing 30,000 students of one of the most impressive and well-respected public institutions in the country gave me access to a lot of really amazing people. And when you enter the real world, you start off at the bottom of the totem pole again, right? Like you're like, you have to work your way up. And in college, you've got only a handful of years between when you are a first day on campus and you are in USAC or running clubs or in other leadership positions. And so the path to the leadership roles that you're in are much shorter in college and they're much longer in the professional world. That's something that I thought about a lot in my first couple of years out of college. And to look back and realize, wow, it was pretty remarkable to see how much access I had, to see the people that were willing to respond to my emails, to take meetings with me that I might not have for 10 years in the work world. So that's, I think, the first thing that comes up, the main thing that comes up.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, well, we got David's contact information. David, I really appreciate you so much. I know I definitely will be reaching out pretty soon, actually, especially since you were USAC president.
Yeah, man, I used to have a relationship with all the presidents. At a certain point, I became too old, but I'd love to connect with you. It's great to see you run this meeting so efficiently.
God, thank you. Yeah, I'll be reaching out soon. So thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you so much. Well done.
Okay. All right, moving forward. Next, we're going to we're going to officer reports. So I'll start. So yeah, we had to do like 91 interviews since last Tuesday. So my staff was able to knock out all of those. We did our final rounds of hiring. For the people that we didn't accept, we did like let them know that there are other USAC offices that are currently hiring and other individuals who may need staffers. So be looking out for that. And obviously, if you guys still need people to join your teams, like keep posting, because there are a lot of people that want to join USAC. We worked on a gun violence resolution, which we'll be presenting later under new business. This weekend, I will be attending a UC Council President's Retreat in San Francisco. So we'll be flying out there on Saturday, and it's just for a day. It'll be our first official meeting in person with other UC Council presidents. So if anyone has anything specifically that they want me to like bring up in regards to like UC-wide stuff, please hit me up and let me know so I can bring it forth at that meeting. We put out some graphics marketing the student conduct committee and open USAC appointments that the president gets to make. So, hey, if you have anyone that wants to be, that you think may be interested, or anyone that maybe, work well on the student conduct committee, please let me know. I was able to set up a couple appointments to meet with some potential interest, but just want to make sure that I have like a good range of individuals to pick from. This week I'll be, okay, so we finally were able to get the 5th person in for the judicial board, which means they now have quorum, but we still do have 2 positions to fill for that. So I have a meeting. Well, I met with one potential judicial board appointee, and she should be coming next Tuesday before council after she goes through ARC. And I have one more meeting with a potential candidate this Friday. And that's all from the president's office. So internal vice president.
Yeah, so for my office, ARC, we didn't have too many interviews this week just because like capacity, and it's midterms week, so I didn't want to kind of stress out our ARC members, and also there were a lot of conflict with just interviewees because it is midterms week, so we didn't get a lot of interviews, but we'll pick it up next week when students are more available. For my office, the student involvement, my student involvement committee, our directors are working on the True Bruin Ray Scholarship and planning the banquet with Karen Monero and GSA and the Crisis Management Services. That committee is also working on the ASU CLA Teacher Contest with Guy Adams. My Education Accessibility Committee is working on our quarterly CSA meeting, so hopefully you all will hear about that soon. They're also working on the off-campus housing fair for next quarter, just because we need to work out or like reach out to landlords beforehand. For my student groups and outreach committee, they're working on reopening the leadership lobby that was an initiative that started last year. And they're also working on like reaching out to clubs and researching what they need and how they can best support them. For transparency and the accessibility committee, I think one of my staff members is in the meeting right now, but they're watching the USAC meetings and they're working on like more transparency reports for the office and for USAC. My pre-professional committee is working on a professional like headshot event for people's LinkedIn's, and then our internship class has just started. But yes, that should be all for IVP.
Awesome. External vice president.
Yeah, so for this week, we met with Planned Parenthood, and also Anna was in this meeting too, and some CA Dems to discuss a Get Out the Vote initiative and Prop 1 initiative as well that we'll be talking about, and then I will be talking about, I'm sure, in the coming weeks. Last week, Bruins vote at CVP, same thing basically. Did a Get Out the Vote initiative all week where we sat out there every single day for like hours asking people to register. We had a good amount of turnout, and we'll be continuing that. We also had our staff/leadership retreat this weekend. A lot of bonding, a lot of leadership happening. It was a great time. We also met with a director of a MSNBC documentary, which I will be reaching out to some of you guys. I've already reached out to a few, but a few more of you guys in regards to a potential screening/Q&A that might be taking place on campus. We met with Sarah from housing in regards to some issues that we heard some students were having in the new apartments in terms of some address change issues and not receiving their mail-in ballots. So we met with her in regards to that, as well as seeing some new layouts for the new affordable housing units that are in the works of being built. So that was cool. We had another meeting with Ignite to continue to help them with their initiative to bring more accessible access to rape kits on campus, near campus. Our campus partnerships team finished their first round of BAG hearings and interviews, which you guys heard earlier today with allocation. Shout out to Emma, who was here for Milan, but it's okay, Milan, we'll share Emma. But yeah, and then our staff applications for fall closed last week, and our directors were put in charge this time to do hiring for their own team, which is exciting for them. And lastly, we had our all-staff meeting last night, and experts came and gave a great presentation. And
Awesome. Thank you, Devon. Next, we have Gen Rep 1.
Yeah, so this week I put out last week I actually put out the applications for hiring staff again, having a little trouble getting people to apply. So I'm going to share the post again if you guys could help out again by reposting the edit. So that would be really helpful. I also interviewed a couple of people that applied, so should be getting people into the right spots. Today I met with Mike Cohn, who's my admin representative. We discussed different ways the Gen Rep 1 office could help students, different ways we could put the office's budget into useful ways. I've met with Teddy today to discuss different ways that we could partner in writing new resolutions and writing how I can help transfer students or he can help other students. I also have met with different clubs to discuss how we can help them. And something I want to start up on my Instagram, on the office's Instagram, is having a club a week. So each week, my Instagram will highlight a new club so that students can see clubs from maybe things they haven't seen before and figure out ways for them to get involved.
Awesome. Thank you, Keon. Gen Rep 3.
Thanks, Carl. So I'm launching my student staff tech addiction together going Thursday. I've been talking with Monroe Gordon and folks at the Rise Center and Student Affairs, and they're being very supportive. So kickoff will be Thursday. Also have a cool event tomorrow afternoon with Denise Oliver Velez, former Black Panther, Young Lord, public media, anthropologist, all around fascinating person. So excited about that. And also got to help set up the presentation by David Volkarsley, who's awesome. So that was fun. Shout out to him. And yeah, Phoebe and I are working on a resolution which should be coming through probably next week. Met with Sarah Bukim and Isaac Levy from Kean's office, who are awesome, and talked through. We have some big plans. So that was fun. And oh yeah, had a great meeting with UC Students Association. Thank you, Divine, for helping to set it up. And we're working on some stuff in terms of disability rights and making sure that dealing with issues with things like the CPO at UCLA. So yeah, been a great week and appreciate the support from council members and community members.
Awesome. Thank you, Eliana. Community Service Commissioner.
Hi, y'all. Happy midterm season. So for Community Service Commission, no, we stopped laughing. For Community Service Commission, we had an amazing social for staff on Friday and for staff and CSU projects on Sunday. Shout out to Anna for organizing that. We also have been working on a project with CalPERG. So we had our first meeting last week, I believe, to start getting the ball rolling on collaborating with CalPERG on a fundraising event with the LA Food Bank. We also had our first meeting with all of the projects, all project representatives last week. We had such a good turnout with most of the projects showing up, and we had an amazing opportunity to get to build community and start building those relationships back up for the start of the school year. Yeah, thank you all so much. Pass it on to the next person.
Awesome. Thank you. Financial Supports Commissioner.
Okay. Hi, everyone. In my office, let's see, what have I been doing? I met with the GSA president to talk about some New York Times stuff and also just some other things. She's lovely. I met, who else did I meet with? I saw Naomi in front of Kirchhoff. We're also working on our financial workshop. So we started reaching out to like a bunch of clubs to see who wants to collab with us because we're just so exclusive here in FSC. And then also we're also doing outreach to businesses in Westwood. to try to get discounts for students. I think one of the things we want to try to do is, it happened a few years back, but they did like $5 haircuts like once a week or once a month. And we want to do something like that. Thank you, Eliana. You're great too. And then we've also been collaborating. Yeah, I've collaborated a little bit with Gen Rep 1 with Isaac and Keon, and also Eliana and I. And then we're having another meeting on Wednesday, just a staff meeting to go over everything. And then also we've been trying to find ways to try to give students more support in terms of mental health. And last thing, we also met with Geronimo, who's the ASU president. Had such a nice meeting. He's such a great guy. But we figured out ways where I could help him and he could help our office. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'll pass it on, I think, to Teddy.
Thank you, Sarah. Evening, everyone. My report, so I too am going through a staff hiring process. So I do have about 6 positions open. So the positions I do have taken already are diversity and inclusion, events director, media marketing, and finance director, but I need a chief of staff. That's the most important one I need. Someone did apply for it, but the application, as you guys saw online, is due October 29th. If there's a low turnout, we do have a couple people applying, but if there's, for example, what Carl's saying, like if there's assurance that there's a push for, like, if you guys can't take certain individuals that you're pushing them for other offices, I could perhaps extend that deadline to adhere to those individuals. But yeah, chief of staff is a big one. And then amongst others, office hours for me are posted as well online. Have now access to the social media account through Instagram. My office hours, I'm in the office right now. They're from 2 to 6 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it's meant for transferred Bruins, but also people from the general student body as well, including you guys. Furthermore, I am getting in contact. I sent an email to Assistant Director Weber of Athletics, talking about how our offices could partner in regards to providing promotions or potential even free tickets to transfer students to upcoming athletic events, specifically like football and basketball, which are not free to the general student body. But I know UCLA struggles in filling up the Rose Bowl, so it doesn't hurt to get more students out there. I was able to meet with Jessica this past week twice, on Thursday and Friday, and so she just provided a lot of clarity and assistance to just all my questions I've had about my role. And she's great, as usual. I met with Karina Salazar today from the TSC, and so I met her in the in SAC, in the first floor of SAC, and we're just talking about my role and talking about how we could partner up. And she wants me in contact with TLC, which struggled last year, but she says that they're strong again, and so she wants me working with them to promote transfer life and transfer initiatives. Co-sponsoring President King's gun violence resolution. I don't know if you guys saw the news, but there was just another gun violence occurrence this past week. It feels like it's just week after week, something new happens, nothing gets addressed. So that's why I'm definitely co-sponsoring that. Also, someone found out, well, I guess it's public. Someone found out that I'm in student government, and so they came up to me actually to where I live, and they were arguing how there was inequity of public works on different sides of campus. So to those who live on the western side of campus, so basically where all apartments are and where Frat Row is, you guys are quite well aware that the roads and streets are not as maintained as the east side of campus that backs up into a single family neighborhood, or where Sorority Row is. And so basically there's someone asked me to bring it to you guys. Most likely, I think it'd probably be most important to like maybe Divine Johnson, because she's the external vice president. But basically in regards to like reaching out to the city of Los Angeles or their public works department to see what can be done about ADA compliance of sidewalks, the cleanliness of the streets and roads, and then just the overall potholes that are not addressed because the argument is that tenants or students are short-term tenants and they are less likely to complain about neighborhood quality and appearance compared to like the opposite side of campus, which is like multi-million-dollar households. So I'm meeting with ADA compliance. If you want to be on the call, I would like that, Phoebe. Yes. Oh, well. Yeah, I would appreciate that, Phoebe. Yeah, so there's inequity there. It's pretty obvious if you just take a stroll around town. Oh, and also, yeah, if you guys can push people to apply to my office, that'd be great. It's a lot better if there's more people on the team. And I think that's about it from my notes. Yeah. And did you get the individual's contact info? No, they're like neighbors. So I guess I could. They like live a couple doors down. So yeah. Here, let me check the chat. I didn't see all the questions. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty much my report. Yeah, thank you.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Okay, moving forward, admin reps, Orlando.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well tonight. Just a couple of updates. Just another friendly reminder that we're currently hosting workshops through November. Sol's currently hosting workshops through November 17th for all returning organizations for their re-registration. Also, I will next week, either Thursday or Friday, the UC Student Region and the UC Student Region Designate will be on campus. I'm assisting them organizing their meetings. I'll be reaching out to USAC. Divine, I will more likely be reaching out to you either tomorrow or Thursday to help organize something. They will be wanting meetings. They want to meet with administration, student organizations, student government, and also host a town hall to talk about the student region application, the process, and then tips and strategies on strong proposals for the next round of applications. All right, that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Just a couple quick things. My SGS students reached out in Slack to get contact info for your funding directors. So if you could please fill that out if you haven't done so already. We're trying to get them in contact with Linda, who is the new student government accounting manager, to make sure that they know that they can use her as support for their funds. And then also if SGA just has any questions about requisitions for particular funding sources. So if you can please fill that out. If you haven't done so, that would be great. And then ASUCLA is going to be hosting Senator Allen soon. So let me get you that information. And I have a link in the that I'll drop into the chat to register. We're also doing a screening of the story of plastic in the Bruin Viewpoint Room. And that's on November 2nd. And then there's also going to be a presentation. Senator Allen's going to talk about some of the contribution and support of ASUCLA on the Westcom Student Terrace, on the side of where the mural is on the side of the building at 4 p.m. So really interesting opportunity to participate and register for the screening if you're interested. And then lastly, I'm gonna be connecting Daniela with our store and textbooks folks to talk about our inclusive access program. And I would love to have them come and present to council and give you all some of the data and numbers that they've been seeing over the last couple of years of having an inclusive access program and the amount of money it's saved students by being able to access materials digitally. So hopefully we'll be able to get them to come at a near in the future council meeting and give you all a presentation to give more information about that. And then lastly, I just wanted to also mention Archie's out today, so we can skip him for officer reports. Thanks, all.
Thank you so much. Stephen?
Hi, everyone. I have a couple quick updates. One, um, I'm going to have a meeting tomorrow with Giovanna and Gloria at the Alumni Association to kind of discuss how we can leverage existing alumni networks and potentially create a new alumni network with I guess a first purpose of helping really leverage the resources we have in the entertainment industry, specifically UCLA alumni in the entertainment industry. And so that is that potentially we could leverage some of those connections, build them out. It could help with things like booking talent amongst many other possible benefits to our org. And so that's, I do want to give a quick reminder to everyone in the room that I'm more than happy to work in this capacity for you. If there's any way you think that essentially building out alumni connections might benefit your org, feel free to reach out to me and I can help initiate that conversation. And then the second thing I just wanted to kind of throw on the table, I actually have been kind of thinking about a summer conversation in which came down to the elections board and voter turnout, which is kind of a persistent problem. And so it's an opportunity. There are several alumni that have a lot of political experience that I've reached out to that would be interested in potentially meeting with the elections board or whoever the appropriate entity is to provide some kind of free consulting and guidance as to how we might be able to kind of increase voter engagement, voter turnout. And so I just want to put that out as an opportunity. If you'd like to leverage that opportunity, I'm more than happy to make those connections as well.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Yeah, we'll probably get you in contact with Anna then, so you guys can kind of collaborate on that. Thank you. All right, next up we have Lori.
Good evening, guys. Just a few things. Recreation will be opening for winter quarter space reservations around 7th week. So if you need space outside of ASUCLA or Bruin Plaza, start thinking about it. Shoot me an email. I can instruct you on how to get an account because it's all done online. And then Teddy, if you want to email me, I can connect you with Mick DeLuca and perhaps he can help you with the tickets for football and basketball. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lori. Okay, moving forward, we don't have any old business. And then with last thing we have is new business, a resolution on gun violence. So my director of resolutions and transparency will actually be presenting this. His name is Michael Carrier. Can you please promote him? She said, can you share a link to the doc? Jessica, are you talking about? The link is
Is it in the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then also really quick reminder. So since it was added to the agenda tonight, you also need to take a vote to make it an action item so that you can vote on it tonight.
Got you. Should we do that now?
Yeah, you can do that now. So it's just move to make the resolution on gun violence an action item, and then it needs a 2/3 majority vote to approve it.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Can someone make a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve to turn this resolution into an action item.
I second.
All right, Theodore motions, Eliana seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. By a vote of 14-0, the motion is approved, and the resolution on gun violence is now a action item for tonight. Okay, has Michael been promoted yet? Okay. All right, Michael, the floor is yours for the resolution.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you all tonight. So I'll be presenting a resolution on gun violence and how it impacts students and some ways that we might go about addressing the issue of the UCLA administration. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen here so I can read out the resolution, the proposed resolution. Is everyone able to see my screen? Perfect. So yes, a resolution urging UCLA to address the impact of gun violence on students. Let me zoom in on the, well, that's okay. Whereas on May 31st, 2022, dozens of UCLA students engaged in protest against the onslaught of mass shootings, lying down at the base of Tongva Steps for 5 minutes and 37 seconds, each second representing a student killed by campus gun violence since the 1999 Columbine High School massacre. Whereas on February 1st, 2022, UCLA canceled in-person instruction due to a shooting threat from a former lecturer and postdoctoral fellow, which included sending a personal video titled UCLA Philosophy Mass Shooting to members of the philosophy department. Students first learned of the threat from this video and the former lecturer's manifesto amid delayed outreach from the UCLA administration, creating a stressful and terrifying environment for students. Whereas on June 14th, 2022, the UCLA Threat Response Task Force, chaired by Emeritus Professor Steve Wiesel of UCLA Law, submitted a report in response to the campus shooting threat in early 2022. The report specifically recommends the creation of emergency communications protocols that consider the mental health impacts connected with physical threats, including those that may not be considered credible or actionable. In addition, the report recommends the creation of protocols for non-physical threats that allow the affected to process and cope with the mental health consequences, such as healing gatherings. Whereas students must confront the fear and anxiety imposed by gun violence while facing the immense stress of academics and college life. Whereas on the eve of presenting this resolution, October 24th, 2022, a gunman killed a 16-year-old girl and a 61-year-old woman at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School in St. Louis, Missouri, wounding several others. The 19-year-old gunman possessed a long gun and a dozen 30-round magazines, exemplifying how the political status quo is untenable. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Undergraduate Student Association Council remembers the victims, family members, and community members impacted by the Robb Elementary School shooting in Uvalde, Texas, and the abhorrently high number of communities suffering from gun violence. Let it be further resolved that the Undergraduate Student Association Council stands in solidarity with the UCLA community and activists nationwide who protest against political inaction on gun violence. Let it be further resolved that the Undergraduate Student Association Council recognizes American mass shootings and threats are not geographically isolated in their impact, but tragedies that degrade the mental health and academic focus of students. Let it be further resolved that USAC urges the UCLA administration to expedite the development of protocols to address the mental health impact of violent threats and to solicit student perspectives throughout the process. That the USAC calls on the UCLA Police Department to update active shooter trainings so that they are 1, sensitive to student concerns, and 2, relevant to the UCLA campus environment, as well as promulgating these materials in engaging formats to students. That USAC urges the UCLA administration to ensure every instructional space can be locked swiftly in the event of a violent threat, which may include the installation of lock blocks in rooms without such functionality. And that the USAC calls on the UCLA administration to prioritize student safety and well-being with the option of remote instruction, as well as no-cost ongoing access to therapy and self-guided mental health supports that specifically address mass violence. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. This was very well written. You did a great job on this. Thank you. Now I want to open the floor up for questions or comments or concerns from council members regarding this resolution. Is there anything anyone wants to say?
Very good resolution. Maybe we could add the names of the people who were killed in the most recent shooting.
Yeah, that could definitely be done. I think it's only that at the time of writing last night, the victims' names hadn't been released yet.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? All right, going once, going twice. Okay, can we, if not, can we get a motion?
I move to approve a resolution urging UCLA to address the impact of gun violence on students.
I second Divine.
Sarah motions, Devon seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. And by a vote of 14 to 0, the motion passes and the resolution is approved. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much again, Michael, for all the hard work on that. Okay, and yeah, I think that's all. I adjourn this meeting at 8:13. Nice.
Cool.
Quicker meetings.
Well then.
Yeah.
Do you feel like
Thank you,
good
everyone.
out there or goodbye?
Yeah. Well, I gotta get to another meeting. So
Yeah, good night, everybody. Good to see you. Well
I mean,
done.
y'all still can stay for good and welfare. I don't own the Zoom. I think Milan owns the Zoom, so y'all should stay on for good and welfare if y'all want to, if y'all can.
Carl, I'll pick up my charger from you right now before you head out.
Not Keon stole it from me. Keon had it.
All right. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Love y'all. Talk to you later.
Love y'all. Good night. Good night, y'all. So yeah, if we
Oh,
want
okay,
to hang out.
Naomi. Heck yeah.
Yes.
Vibes. Why is it still live though? Can we like
They
turn
all-
that part off?
Everyone, I own the Zoom, so I'm here.
No lie.
I was just at another meeting, but now I'm at my office. I
No,
double
you're
Zoomed
totally
this meeting,
good.
So I get stressed every Tuesday. I run from the hill. So I have a meeting on the hill for like
Wait.
2 hours.
Wait. Is the live still on?
The live is still on. Okay, who shut it off first?